Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Major developments. I got about 6 topics or 7 here, ranging from Israel sending troops into Lebanon. Lebanon is an independent sovereign country, so is Israel, so that's an invasion. But I will show you the euphemisms used by the Western media. Therefore, I will never want to hear anyone telling me about, the Russians call the war and their invasion of Ukraine as a special military operation, because these guys in the West will call Israel's military operation special as well. You're going to find out. And limited euphemisms. That's the first topic we're going to discuss. We're going to see the Russians' reaction to this. We're going to see America's reaction to this, and we're going to see Iran's reaction to this invasion. If you send troops in another country, I think that's war. It's a declaration of war. But they don't call it that way. Obviously, they call it differently. You're going to see how idiotic it's called. But nevertheless, this is the level of our media and politicians. All right, that's the first one. The second one, it seems like the French still want to send troops into Ukraine. All right, the Americans sent thousands of more troops into the Middle East. What do you think is about to happen over there? Of your troops, my troops. At the orders of whom exactly? Then we have here the Houthis claim that they downed another US drone. So that would be the 9th, I think, if true. Then we find out that actually Scholz or the West sends their emissary to Putin, Mr. Scholz, the chancellor of the used to be great country of Germany, and Putin. They will talk. Why? Well, we're going to discuss that one. Then we have France wanting to obviously send troops, and Putin, the evil Putin, the Russians win in Venezuela. Venezuela and Russia, they're about to sign a 10-year strategic alliance. That means the Americans will have to act until December when this treaty will be signed. That's very, very important, and I predicted that. And what do you think is going to happen? Do you think there's going to be some missiles in Venezuela? Do you think the Americans will allow what they're doing somewhere else, someone else to do it to them? All right, let's go to the first topic. This comes from Ukrainska Pravda, from the good Ukrainians. Israel launches ground operation. It's an operation. It's not war. No, it's just a special military operation. Remember, the Russians call their a special military operation. Why do they call it that way? Because they didn't order a general mobilization. If Russia would say that's a war, they would send all the 30 million men over there under the general mobilization, and then they will wash their feet in the Atlantic in no time. Just kidding. So Israel launches ground operation in southern Lebanon. I want to remind you, Lebanon is an independent sovereign country, so is Israel. So how do you call when a country sends its troops, tanks there is, in another country? Did Lebanon invade Israel? I don't remember that, but nevertheless, the Israeli Defense Forces have launched Operation Northern Arrows. These guys are still back into the goat herding. They have arrows. Anyway, a localized, and targeted raid against Hezbollah terrorist targets in the border area of southern Lebanon. So it's like a rapist goes to a soon-to-be rapist, okay? He just approaches a victim, soon-to-be victim, and he says, you know what, I'm just going to pump 3 times. That's it. Or just a little bit. I will, not the whole thing. I'll just go a little bit. Do you think that qualifies as rape? Of course it does. Penetration. What do you want? Nevertheless, this guy is just targeted. It's localized. It's limited. It's not a war. So I don't want to hear anybody telling me about the Russian special military operation being the so-called. Because if you call that one the so-called, you should also reserve some terms for this one as well. So, next one. semaphore. Israel begins ground invasion in southern Lebanon. That's it, man. It's just right here. Right here. Israel's military said that launched a ground incursion. It's an incursion into Lebanon, describing it as a limited operation targeting Hezbollah. It's just, just a ground incursion. Just go in a little bit, a little penetration. Now, USA Today, obviously, Israel launches ground invasion in Lebanon with limited raids on Hezbollah. This is the same garbage. Israel troops cross into Lebanon for targeted operations. The Telegraph. So let's say India is very upset that the United States of America and Canada have some Indians in their territory, in their countries, and they protect them. Obviously, they're free here, and these guys want to, according to the Indians, and it's not only according to the Indian government, but also with the statements made by these guys, to break India, to break it into other little countries. So it's like someone will say, well, you know what, I am fighting for, let's say, dismembering the United States of America and get, I don't know, the Aslan, the southern western part of the US. Oh, that's happening. Oh, let's say I want that to be another country. What do you think that would be called? We don't do that. Anyway, and then you know what? I send, let's say, from Mexico, La Raza, let's say, sends some limited just a little bit of troops to catch these guys. Like, for instance, the Indians will send into America and Canada just limited operations just to target these guys. Do you think that would fly? Why not? You know what? You know why. So again, when these guys call it limited raids, then the Indians can do the same thing to the Canadians, to the Americans, and get those guys. Or let's say Turkey, NATO member, friendly country. Erdogan, let's say he sends a few troops, just limited operation in the United States of America, to get that cleric. Remember that one? 2016? But they don't do that. Why? Because we're all equal, but some of us are more equal than others. So let's go to the next garbage here. We got from Ukrinform, and they show us tanks. That's the limited targeted operation. You see that? That's the limited targeted. Israel kicks off limited ground offensive. It's just an offensive. I thought it was a defensive, in self-defense, against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. I wanted to pay attention to the mental gymnastics and euphemisms these guys use for this particular thing. Next one, CNN. We have this imbecile who wants to, Zakaria Farid, or whatever his name is, who wants his career to explode because he's gonna suck some dick. He's done kissing asses, so he turned into the other thing. And now, Farid Zakaria weighs in on Israel launching a limited ground operation in Lebanon. All right, so just start a limited ground operation against terrorist targets and infrastructures. All right, this guy. All right, and CNN, and they create a narrative. Next one. Now, these are the Russians. I know the Russians are bad, and they speak plainly. Israel invades Lebanon. That's according to the Russians. And remember, Russia today is the propaganda arm of the Russian intelligence, so it's a bad dude right there. West Jerusalem announced the start of cross-border ground raids in the early hours of Tuesday. Again, limited, just to the pussy, localized, just limited, just a little bit of my thing in your thing, localized exactly in your pussy, and targeted ground raids. It's going to be multiple pumps. This is my translation. Now, do you think that's okay? Anyway, let's move on. And let's say that is a reaction of, let's say, she slapped me. Can I do that? So let's say a woman gets angry with me and slaps me. Am I entitled to go over there and do it limited? That means just a little bit of my cock coming into her say, all right? Localized exactly there, okay? And it's just targeted, and it's multiple targets. Well, in self-defense, she slapped me. You understand? Well, obviously, it's a loose example. Well, let's see what the Americans did to this. Do you think the Americans, as I said before, they just protect, and they are, how do you call it, servants. Again, from the evil Russians again, 1st of October, U.S. secretly approved Lebanon escalation, Politico claims. So this is according to Politico, not with the Russia Today. They just took it and throw it on us. Washington gave Israel the green light to mount an offensive, in contrast to its public calls for a ceasefire. Sources have claimed the U.S. government quietly approved Israel's military campaign in Lebanon, despite publicly urging the Jewish state, again, you gotta use it that way, and militant group Hezbollah to seek a ceasefire. Politico has reported citing insider sources. So, that's the same thing as Gaza. I made a video 2 days ago on that, and I placed it on or uploaded on Rumble. You go and watch that one. And on YouTube, I can't tell you the truth, nothing but the truth and the whole truth, okay? I can't do that. I have to go with hints and blah, 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 and tra-la-la. This is the state of our freedom of speech, guaranteed under the U.S. Constitution, but trampled down by a platform, private platform. Therefore, if these guys can discriminate like this on my, how do you call it, First Amendment, then they can discriminate in the right to vote in their little company. Let's say YouTube, Meta, whomever it is, they will say, you know what, from now on, we're not going to allow, let's say, this group, let's say the women, what is it, 14th Amendment, 16, 17, whatever it is, all right, that's or the blacks, to vote. Why? We don't have to respect Constitution, should we? I mean, it's the same thing. If they can moderate my speech and close my ability to speak because it breaks their community guidelines that actually violate my constitutional rights, that means they can go into voting. And when they vote, they say, okay, women, let's say they say, cannot vote. Or let's say blacks cannot vote. Is it legal? Is it legal? And if not, why not? It's guaranteed under the U.S. Constitution, and it should be. But my speech here is trampled whenever these guys want. So, I don't think so. I don't think so. But that's the way, this is the level. Let's move on. Sputnik, Israel's invasion of Lebanon to lead to further escalation of violence in region. Moscow, this is what Moscow's position is on this. Of course, but that's exactly what these guys want. We know that. Who's these guys? Well, let's move on. Russia Today, let's see what the Iranians will say. Iran won't deploy forces to Lebanon. No surprise here. Foreign Ministry. Tehran is not afraid of war, but stands for a safe and stable Middle East, spokesperson. So imagine that limited, pointed, whatever operation that the guy gives to the girl. She said, I'm not going to defend myself. I'm not going to, how do you call it? I'm not afraid to react and defend myself, but I won't. I will still take it, little by little. This is Iran. That's how I see it. Well, it's a point beyond 1,599 pumps in your pussy should urge a reaction from you, right? You should have something. How long? How long? I'm not afraid, but I used to be like this when I was a kid. I would smack like kids or get in a fight, and the kids would not want to fight me. I am not in a mood in fighting, and I would smack them. But when the fuck are you going to be? I mean, I smack you right now. When are you? I'm not in the mood. Smack, smack. I'm not in the mood. He was afraid shitless. That's what he was. Not he. They. It was multiple times. Now, let's see the American reaction. A few thousand more U.S. troops are headed to the Middle East. In defense of whom, I wonder? You know the answer. But this is our taxpayers' money. And not only, these guys go there. Well, what can you do? Let's move on and see. The next topic comes from Associated Press. Yemen's Houthi rebels claim shooting down another U.S.-made drone as U.S. acknowledges losing one. This is where it happened. So this is the Middle East here. This is Africa. All right, this is India. This is the Mediterranean Sea, Black Sea, Caspian Sea. And here is this big map with Yemen. So this is what they say. Iran is preparing a ballistic, tra-la-la. Dubai. Yemen's Houthi rebels claim Monday they shot down another American-made MQ-9 Reaper drone over the country, with videos purportedly showing a surface-to-air missile striking it. The U.S. military acknowledged losing a drone. So I think this is the 9th, if I remember correctly, but this is the way it is, my friends. What are we doing in Yemen again? Are fighting for our interest or for someone else's interest? Well, if you tell me that we're defending a friend, is the friend right or is the friend wrong? Does it matter? If it doesn't matter, that means we can't call ourselves, as we try to call. And I'm not lumping the American people in this, American population, us, those guys over there, and the guys in charge of them, who are not necessarily Americans. Move on. Let's see how Scholz is the emissary, the messenger who sucks it. Let's see. Germany's Scholz wants a call with Putin. Die Zeit, the time. The Russian president and the chancellor haven't been in direct contact for almost 2 years, according to official record. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz wants to speak by phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin, the Zeit newspaper has reported, citing government sources. Scholz has been endorsing diplomatic efforts to end the Ukraine conflict, including inviting Moscow to a peace summit. The German Chancellor hopes for the call to take place ahead of the G20 summit meeting in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, in mid-November, the Zeit reported on Monday, adding that the conversation has not yet been requested. And I'm quoting, our last phone call was in December 2022. Before that, we used to speak more frequently. Yeah, you told shut the hell up, and you did. Scholz told Politico in that. My last telephone call was some time ago, but I plan to speak to Putin again in due course. Scholz told Kölner Staatsanzeiger newspaper in May 2023 when asked about his contact with the Russian leader. In October 2022, Scholz told Deutschlandfunk radio that the tone of his conversation with Putin is always friendly, even if we have very different views on the matter, while warning that no one should, and I'm quoting, harbor any illusions that this will bring swift results. Who wants to negotiate? Who wants to talk? I hope he is a messenger for the other guys. So let's put it this way. Sometimes in a criminal organizations, you want to make peace, or you want to make, how do you want it? You want to push forward the person whose already credibility has been tarnished. So you say, well, you go and do it because you already are done. You know what I mean? You're toast. You're a pussy, considered a weasel, weak. Why weak? Nord Stream pipelines, and then you got sanctions on Germany. Scholz agreed to that, so you're weak. Yes, weak end. So they're gonna send this baboon. They're not gonna send the cool Macron or the British baboons over there. Or no, they are tough guys, the Americans. No, they have to show that they are still tough, right? They're in control. They will send the one who already tarnished his, character or political position, including the fact that he wants to prevent Taurus missiles being sent to Russia. Annalena Baerbock, the infantile foreign minister of Germany, is just another person. As Pistorius, who is the defense minister of Germany, these guys are definitely on the payroll of the guys who hit Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 pipelines. You know what I mean? It's just metaphorically speaking here. Nevertheless, here it is. He wants to talk. Why? They want to save face? Well, save face. Do it. Call him. But the Russians, I hope that they have no illusions whatsoever with these guys. Why? Because these guys lied before, and they will lie again. So again, these guys have no, even if they sign something, that means nothing. Nothing. Tomorrow these guys can say, Minsk agreement, I don't follow that. Fuck you. And yeah, we were the guarantors, Germany and France, but hey, we fooled you. Again, remember Trump when he just did with the Iran deal? Well, we don't respect that. We don't want it. We don't agree with that. Why? Well, then everything that they signed could be broken and thrown into pieces. It's good. Communication is good, but I don't think there's going to come anything out of it yet. Scholz wants to call Putin for first time since 2022, Ukrainska Pravda. And then we go to this one. France could still send troops to Ukraine. Yeah, okay, see, these are tough. President Emmanuel Macron first commented on the possibility of deployments earlier this year. France is not ruling out deploying troops to Ukraine. Eastern Affairs Minister Benjamin Haddad has said, insisting that President Emmanuel Macron stands by his previous statements on the issue. And I'm quoting, the EU has a duty to further support Ukraine. No, it doesn't. In its conflict with Russia. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have any written agreements or anything like that. But nevertheless, but They're good. They defend the good. That's why. In an interview with German Berliner Zeitung published on Tuesday, Haddad stated that, and I'm quoting, President Macron has said that we should not rule out anything, and this stands as ever. The West ought to, and I'm quoting, contemplate training missions in particular. Missions like, where is that at? A limited ground offensive? I guess so. So when asked if he feared potential escalation of the conflict should this scenario materialize, Haddad accused Russia of shutting down all attempts of a diplomatic statement. That's a lie. And I'm quoting, we should stop drawing red lines for ourselves. Okay, use nuclear weapons if you stop drawing any red lines. Send troops and seek to embrace what we call strategic ambiguity. I'm not gonna fight. I'm not in the mood to fight you. I just how's that? Embrace strategic ambiguity. So I was ready when I said I don't want to bang to turn around. So yeah, I was like, oh my god, I'm just gonna do it and woohoo and not get the fuck knocked out, right? All right. No, my friends, no. If France will send any troops, and it's not gonna send it unilaterally, I guarantee you that they will not sending unilaterally. The Russians will hit them. I guarantee you, they will hit them. I'm 99% certain. And here I wanted to point out this: Russia's foreign intelligence reported in July that France had previously mulled sending about 2,000 troops to Ukraine. Those were foreign legionnaires. That's what it were. So the last article, let's see, and last topic, and that is Russia again won in this time in Latin America or South America. They win in Africa with their Chinese buddies. Why? The Chinese have the money and the Russians have the friends. That's how it works. Why? Before, remember, the Americans brought aid. This was a technique. You go to an African country and say, you know what, guys, we're going to give you some money, this dictator or this whatever it was in charge, we're going to give you this aid. You take some of it, President Juju. You take this money and you're going to allow us to come here and do what the fuck ever we want. So they were bribing. Now they pay this much money. Now China has this much money. So the Chinese will outspend, destroy the Americans' printing machine. I mean, the Americans have to build more printing machines and all that in order to compete with Chinese. And the Russians have the connections. Why they have the connections? Because the Russians work on this. Those countries that were abused and paid off by these guys, they have other European countries, like 3 or 4 or 5, that's all right, that were colonizers. So they have bad memories with those countries who are in the same boat with the guy who is the briber. The guy we call him briber, whatever, briber. So they have bad memories about that side. So when the Russians who helped them, now the Russians through Soviet Union at that time, they have good memories towards those guys. And then the Chinese come over with more money. And the Chinese are not only dumping money, they say, we're going to bring you technology and we're going to train you. And we're going to train you. Oh man, that guy is tough. Anyway, so that's the difference. Outspent, and those guys will have those countries, I hope, to develop, not to keep them over there, but each country to its policies. And here we have Venezuela and Russia to sign 10-year strategic alliance. That's done in December, says Maduro. Oh no, beautiful. What do you have over there? That's a emerald. We like emeralds. All right, so strategic alliance, my friends. So the Americans can overthrow the government in Venezuela until December, and they could try after that as well. The governments of Russia and Venezuela plan to sign a strategic alliance for the next 10 years at a December meeting at the Intergovernmental Commission. Vice President Dulce Rodriguez reported from Moscow that an intergovernmental commission of the two countries will be held at the end of the year. And there we are going to sign a strategic alliance for the next 10 years. So Venezuela considers Russia a great older sister. And Russia is counting on Venezuela as a fundamental force in Latin America. What do you want? So Russians will have free access like legal and no problem in Venezuela. And what are they going to do? Venezuela is going to become part of BRICS, and the Americans have to put a pimp melee in Venezuela quickly. They've been trying. It seems like there are some Russian special troops in Venezuela, and I have some more information on what Maduro did to some mercenaries who tried to topple his government again. I know the Venezuelan authorities arrested 5 Americans who they claim tried to again overthrow Maduro's government, like 2014 Ukraine, Kiev. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.